It's time for the Douglas Coleman Show. Mr. Smooth and Savvy is joined by guests from all walks of life, from the entertainment industry to authors to political and social commentators, the famous and not so famous, the controversial and the light and fluffy. We have it all. Now, here's Douglas Coleman.
Okay, please welcome to the Douglas Coleman Show, Lyn Baron. Hi, Dana. How are you?
Hello, Douglas. I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you. Thank you for coming on the show.
My pleasure.
So you came through Carrie.
Yes.
Now, she's also an actress, right? Actor.
Yeah, and many, many other things. Yeah, she wears a lot of wonderful hats.
Okay.
But yes, fellow actress, yes.
I think I just talked to her like not long ago, maybe a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's fun.
I don't remember at all what we talked about because I do 10 interviews a week and they get a little blurry. But I do remember. With
Carrie, you can cover a bunch of topics usually. So
yeah, as I remember, it was a fun interview and I enjoyed it. And she mentioned your name and I said, oh, yeah, she's on the calendar. Okay, good. So here you are.
Here I am.
Yeah, great.
Finally, yay.
So is there any one particular film that you're promoting or just kind of promoting them all?
Oh, well, yes, I am. I am promoting Being the Ricardos, Aaron Sorkin's latest film that's just came out in theaters in early December, and it's been on Amazon Prime Video since December 21st. So, yes.
Okay, super.
We're celebrating that film.
Well, you know what? I am going to watch that movie this week because I'm a big I Love Lucy fan, and I definitely want to see it. It's on my top 5 short list. Are you a I Love Lucy fan? Yeah?
I love I Love Lucy. I grew up watching it with my grandmother. Thank God for reruns, and I am a fan. It's funny, I went through a phase of being a little girl and watching it, but then I went through a phase I realized like in my teens I kind of didn't care about it. I got into Monty Python and like a lot of British comedy for a while, which is good too.
Oh yeah,
obviously. But being cast in this film, it just felt like kismet. Full circle, getting reintroduced and falling back in love. I watched. The film itself takes place during 1 week of production in 1952, their second season. And so as part of my research, I just made it a point, although I do want to go back and watch the rest of the seasons available, but I watched all the episodes in season 1 and season 2 just to be reminded of the stories that were told during that time. And the movie takes a look. It's a week in the production of an episode, so it's about the people, Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, and the various events happening behind the scenes of this seminal show, this gift they gave to us.
So who do you play?
I believe Aaron. I never got to ask him officially, but I believe I am a composite of whoever Desi Arnaz's secretaries were at the time. I play Miss Rosen, who is Desi Arnaz's personal secretary at Desilu Productions, and I have a presence through much of the film. And it's really, needless to say, very exciting and fun, really joyful to work with Javier Bardem. I got to, Nicole and I, Miss Rosen and Lucy don't interact as much, unfortunately, because I love Nicole. I've loved Nicole ever since I saw Dead Calm back in, I think, the 90s. And so I don't interact as much with her, but I definitely was in scenes with her and got to witness firsthand what she was doing in this remarkable role. She just won a Golden Globe for. But I spent my time with Javier Bardem most of the time. I was with them over about a month, coming in and out to shoot my scenes. So it was incredible. It still feels like a dream, a bit surreal, but I was there, and it was wonderful.
How'd you get the part? Did you audition?
Yeah, I did. I'm still very much, I'm a working actor, and I auditioned to get my roles. And but in this case, what was exciting and new for me, I mean, I'm used to, like in Friends projects, I've had the experience of being offered a role, like, hey, Dana, come play this role in our short film or little pilot, feature film, whatever. And in the bigger projects, you're used to, especially if you're not a known person, a famous person, you audition, and often there's a callback situation, maybe multiple callback auditions, depending on the project. Last almost exactly a year ago, we're coming up on where, actors during the pandemic, we turned to self-taping because you weren't doing anything in person. Self-taping was already something that existed, but was not as prevalent as it is now. It's really become the new normal. So I put myself on tape. I got an audition for this project, and me being me, because I've always been someone very connected to the business side of things as well. So I have some actor friends who don't care or don't pay attention to who's directing a project, who the producers are, who's casting, who's starring. And I pay attention to I notice all those things rather. So I get this audition and I see it says Aaron Sorkin on it, and that got me excited. Then I see the two leads are Nicole Kidman, Javier Bardem. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I see the role is secretary to Desi Arnaz. And I just felt, because I had done David Fincher's film the year before, Mank, with Gary Oldman, which is a different period, of course. 1934 was where I existed in that film. But for 1952, basically, I've always loved period pieces. It's where I started my career in musical theater. I get it. I don't know what it is about putting on costumes and wigs and shoes, makeup, all of it. And it just seems like it's my wheelhouse. So I get this audition. I feel like I know what I want to do with it, what the story is. I tape myself, and then I hear nothing for a few weeks, which normally it's very smart for actors, and that's something I do. You try an audition and then forget about it, because you'll audition 100 times, or God knows how many times. You just don't know. You audition more than you book, most people. But I was very upset as the weeks were going on. I did something I never want to do, and I was doing it, which is essentially the waiting by the phone thing, because I felt so strongly about my audition and my rightness for this project. I thought I at least had to get a call back. Like, there's no way. And that is such a dangerous place for an actor to go, because it's you just, some things are just beyond your control, and you have to just share your best work and then let it be. Let the gods and angels do their thing.
Yeah, you've got to move on. I mean, sitting by the phone is nerve-wracking.
But I was doing that, which I knew was causing me great suffering until like 3 weeks later. I was talking to a very old dear friend of mine who's known me since I was 18, and she's like my third grandma. She's in her 80s now, but she's known me a long time, and she basically scolded me on the phone one night. She's like, "You've got to let it go, Dana. You've got to let it go."
Yeah, she was right.
She was absolutely right, and I knew she was right. And I'm very emotional, because I know she's right, and I know that I'm not feeling good about holding on to this thing. I've got to let it go. So I really did. I slept better than I'd slept in ages. I was ready to let it go. I'm like, there are going to be other things. Don't worry about it. There will be other things coming your way. The next day, my agent emailed me that an offer was coming for the role. So,
wow, that's great.
What makes it interesting, though, to me, I was cast directly off a self-tape, which had never happened to me. Like, directly, there wasn't even a callback. Aaron Sorkin decided I was the one for that role from a tape. I'd never auditioned for him before. The casting director, Francine Maisler, she hadn't cast me until this one, but she started bringing me into her office for various projects a few years ago now. So she was a fan of my work, because you suppose that a casting director isn't a fan of your work if they keep bringing you in. So they're just, I know my mentors in the business always said, when in a particular office, casting office, or particular people, if they bring you in again and again, just trust they're trying to find something for you. They are. And, so I thank Francine Maisler for bringing me in for this. And then, I guess Aaron, it's amazing to me, these master storytellers, they just know there's something they see and they trust and they know what they need. And he trusted me to show up on set on day one and deliver, which was terrifying, but also very exciting. So,
well, I'm anxious to watch the film. I will watch it this week. And
I hope you enjoy it. People are really enjoying this. They're learning a lot of things they didn't know about Lucille and Desi. So that's been really fun.
Well, I know some of their story. Their marriage was pretty tumultuous, and I've seen lots of interviews with Lucy and with Desi. Like you had mentioned, I'm kind of one of those technical geeks that likes to look at IMDb and see who did what, who was best boy, and who was all these. But I did notice under executive producer that it was Desi Arnaz Jr. and Lucy. Mm-hmm. Did you get to meet them?
No. From what I understand, only Lucy came to set, and it wasn't that much. Like, she really, and if you've seen, I mean, Aaron's given a lot of really fun and interesting interviews I've watched, and Lucy, first of all, gave him full permission to take the gloves off on her mother, and she was a difficult woman, and tell the story and tell all of it. So, but Lucy came to set, from what I understand, just a few times, really. And Desi, I don't think ever did. So I didn't get to meet them. That would have been really fun, but no. But, it's got their stamp of approval, which is pretty exciting, just to have them on board.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I know this might be a spoiler question. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to, but
okay.
I'm just kind of curious. Desi was sort of famous or infamous for womanizing off the set. And since you're playing his secretary, do you and him...
No. Yeah, I don't feel this is a spoiler. And it's funny you say that because I don't need to go into too many details. Only one of my lines was cut in the entire film. And one of Desi's lines was cut in this particular moment in the film. And I was actually really disappointed. Watching a film for the first time, that when you're in it, it's always really hard. Like, because I'm watching and critiquing myself rather than just sitting back and enjoying the film, so the first time I saw the film and that scene came up, I was really excited to see this moment, which really was, there was nothing. In fact, I had the good fortune before shooting, I got to have a phone call with the legend of stage and screen, Carol Cook, who was really close friends with Lucy and Desi. Lucy discovered Carol on Broadway in New York and is the reason Carol ended up in LA. Anyway, she knew them very well. So in getting to talk with her, I did, even though what Aaron Sorkin wrote, there was nothing on the page. I was catching myself reading between the lines, like, well, maybe as you're bringing up the subject, maybe there was something between Desi and one of his secretaries. And Carol basically said, no way, never. She's like, if it's not on the page, it's not there. So that was true. And also what she said was, Desi Lou was their baby. And when Desi and Lucy were at Desi Lou, they were together. It was like all the time. There was no way he was involved with anyone there. The women that he had were all... Okay,
so he kept it separate from work, basically.
Yes, so basically, and so my inkling, if I were to put my director and editor hat on, like the moment that was cut, I think it's a moment of him confiding in his secretary because there's a bunch of crazy business going on and he's worried. And he actually confides in his secretary, which is kind of I think at that time, especially, and a slightly unusual thing, especially, and also a man, valuing the opinion of a woman. Although he valued his wife's opinion very much. But when we were shooting the film, that scene rather, and that moment, I know we had done the master shots, and then we were pulling in for close-ups, and we did Desi's close-up first on these two little lines, which I'm not going to say what they are right now, but. We did a first take of Desi's close-up, and then we said, okay, let's do it one more time. So I went back to my spot, which was near where Aaron was sitting with the script supervisor, and he began to tease me. He was talking to a script supervisor, but so I could hear him, and he was saying, doesn't it look like they're about to passionately kiss? And it was not that at all, because it was a moment where he wanted to tell me something. Desi wanted to tell Miss Rosen something, and there were people outside the door that he didn't want them to hear, so he needed to come in so as to whisper it. And I think those two lines had to be cut, because even if it was a professional relationship, nothing's going on. If there's if there was anything that could be construed, like, if the audience even had the thought, oh, is something going on with the secretary? That's not the story. That is not the story. So I think my educated guess is that's why that little moment is not there.
Cut.
Just because there's nothing going on with Desi and his secretary.
Okay.
Or anyone at Desi-Lou. Okay, that was a long answer to that.
Well, I'm glad we cleared that up. Okay.
Yeah, we cleared that up. It was just, I mean, in the movie, I mean, it's Call Girls. I don't know if it was anything beyond Call Girls, frankly, but
well, that's the story that I've heard, is that he just went out with hookers.
Yeah.
And he was so true to Lucy emotionally, just not physically. Okay. He sort of separated the two. Lucy was his one true love, the mother of his children, 100% from his heart, but sexually he was a Casanova.
Yeah, they say it in the film too, but in my research and some of the books I read, it was always, he's Cuban. What are you going to do? I mean, there was a very
the Latin
specific
machismo,
idea of masculinity.
Right, right. I saw an interview on Johnny Carson. I don't know if you've seen it. Desi was on Johnny Carson, 1976.
Oh. No, I probably didn't see that.
Okay, it's on YouTube. You can find it there. But it was a great interview. Bob Hope was sitting right there, who Desi and Bob Hope were great friends. And Johnny asked Desi, he said, if you had to dish out the credit for the I Love Lucy show, how would you divide it amongst the four of you, right? And he said, 90% to Lucy and the rest of us split the 10.
Yeah.
And it just showed to me that he still was deeply in love with her.
Well, and that's what Carol Cook said, that, I mean, she was friends with them till they both passed. And Desi, once they divorced, Desi and Lucy, they were friends to the end. Yeah. They supported each other in interviews. They gave each other the credit they deserved for all the things they accomplished. And it's one of those things where it was a couple that loved each other deeply. They were like soulmates or soul companions, but not meant to be married to one another. Because they each married then the partners they were with the rest of their lives.
Right. Gary Morton for Lucy, and I do not remember Desi's.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, I've forgotten who. But it's love is funny, ain't it?
Well, I know it was passionate. I mean, I know when they met, it was, sparks and volcanoes and a deeply passionate relationship. But I think, if you look at Desi being the sort of quintessential Latin machismo man, and Lucy being the strong woman that she was, you're bound to see that's going to be a problem, because I think Desi's ideal wife was the stay home and, the pipe and slippers type. Well, and when you see the movie, there's a big theme. Home is a huge theme for Lucy. And he, in a way, I wonder if, he misconstrued when early on in their relationship, when she shared her desire for a home, that he thought she was going to just stay there, which is far from the case. But she was for that time period. And even there's some, I love the flashbacks just to some of the beginnings of their relationship, and even her career in particular, how it, could have gone another way. I mean, it was a phenomenal actress, and a lot of people don't realize that. They know she's a genius comedian, but there's this whole thing where you just see she was strong, man. I mean, the part of the crap that women put up with, more so than now, even though some still goes on now, certainly. But she stood up in a way that most women were either afraid to do or just weren't capable of. Didn't have that spine, that strength. Well, she was the first major studio head in Hollywood, first female. Yes. Right? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And it's incredible. I mean, they broke ceilings. I mean, with just I Love Lucy, we know, first she demanded that she wouldn't do the show without Desi, but they became the first interracial couple on TV. Yeah, which is a joke. Yeah. I mean, 1950, like that. Well, 1950s people thought of that as an interracial couple. I know. Well, yeah. Well, for sure. But also he helped to create what we know now as multi-camera sitcoms. Right. The technical
gifts that he gave our industry. And what else? Interracial couple, multi-camera.
Multicultural couple too, because he spoke Spanish and right.
Yes. Yeah. For sure. And just like, again, when I went back to watch the episodes that are available anyway for season 1 and 2, like every episode, I laughed out loud.
Oh, they're still funny.
What show does that?
Not many.
Laughing.
Not many. And, you can watch those shows over and over again. There's one of my particular favorites, and I don't know if this was I forget which season it was in, but it's the one where where Desi's relatives come to visit from Cuba.
Oh.
And Lucy wants to speak Spanish to feel like she fits in, and she gets that little electronic device. Do you know that? You seen that episode?
I haven't. I don't know what season. It wasn't in season 1 or 2, I don't think.
Okay.
I don't think.
It could be 3. I know that it changes. The set changes, and they get a piano and a window after the third or fourth season, something like. I know, I'm a geek with this thing.
That's great. I love that you know this.
but anyways, it's absolutely the funniest because she's got this little remote earpiece, and there's a guy in the kitchen who is from Ricky's show. Okay, he's like one of the people on Ricky's show who is Spanish. He speaks Spanish. So he would translate into her ear what Ricky's relatives are saying and then tell her what to say in Spanish as a reply. And this is all going on in real time. Okay. It is absolutely, it's side splitting, I'm
going to find that one because that's, it sounds like it's like Cyrano, but just I can see the obvious comedy in that. So I'm going to find that one. Thank you for reminding me of it. But I have a memory of watching that at some point. Like I can see the relatives in the room or something. But
the look on Desi's face when she just blurts out these perfect Spanish phrases, and
he was a good actor.
Oh, he was great. And, he was just perfect for that show. I know that you had mentioned they didn't want him. Right. The original guy that they wanted to cast was Bob Cummings, I believe.
Was it him? Because also
or somebody else.
The TV show was coming from my
favorite husband.
My favorite husband. Thank you. The radio show.
Yeah.
So I thought originally they were going to bring Lucy and her co-star of that.
Okay.
But I do know they had a list, and Bob Cummings. That's interesting because I don't recall.
I could be wrong on that. And I thought
you might be right.
Jimmy Stewart was another possibility, or Henry Fonda.
My gosh.
They wanted somebody like that, like some big name. And Lucy said, "No, Desi's my husband. It's Desi or nothing." And she was right.
She didn't need it. She didn't. You'll see. I can't wait for you to see the film then, because you'll just see it's fun. The scenes that just cover all these various points in their creative life over there at Desilu.
Well, I'm a big I Love Lucy geek. I'm there with, as far in the reference to music, it's like I Love Lucy is to TV as the Beatles were to pop music. And so it's that kind of connection. I just want to know everything all about it. So that's great.
Yeah. Well, it's really, and I'm just, the fact that, I don't know, again, it's surreal that I'm part of this film.
Well, I think it's fantastic. I think that's great.
Really been very exciting.
I feel privileged to be able to speak to you today. Unfortunately, we got to wind this down because we are just about out of time.
Oh my goodness, that sped by.
Yeah, it did. So being the Ricardos, Aaron Sorkin is director and writer. And my guest is Lyn Baron, who plays
Miss Rosen.
Miss Rosen, who is Desi's secretary. Yes. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing the film. Do you have a website you want to give out?
I do. People can follow me on Instagram. All my handles are basically my full name, which is Dana Lyn Baron, which is DanaLynBaron. And I'm on Instagram. My website is danalynbaron.com. On Facebook, I'm Dana Lyn Baron. On Twitter, I'm Dana Lyn Baron. And I think on YouTube, I'm Dana Lyn Baron too.
Okay, great.
And I think that'll cover it.
Last question, and then we got to say goodbye. Any projects in the works at the moment?
Not right now. I'm in audition mode and also press mode for the film, which is hopefully, fingers crossed, going to keep on getting nominations for the upcoming awards, and I'm going to be attending to whatever events come up around all that. So,
well, thanks again for coming on. It was nice meeting you. Nice
thank you
talking
for having
about,
me.
babbling on for a half an hour about I Love Lucy. That's great. One of my favorite things to do.
I'm glad. It was really nice meeting you too.
You're listening to Mr. Smooth and Savvy right here on the Douglas Coleman Show. We'll be right back after these commercial messages.
Douglas Coleman's Don't Do a Podcast is a dryly humorous rant about Douglas's pet peeve, the unrelenting torrent of podcasts hitting the web on a constant basis. As technology has put podcasting within the reach of anyone, many wholly unqualified people have taken the plunge. This witty polemic tries to persuade them from broadcasting their drivel using Douglas's brand of sarcastic humor. Now on Amazon, only 99 cents.
DJC Music and DJC Productions are pleased to announce a brand new website. We have started a listing website for radio show hosts as well as potential show guests. This is a meeting site where hosts and guests can come together. Show hosts can list their show and types of guests they're interested in booking. Potential guests can list their talents, bio, accomplishments, or anything they feel makes them an interesting radio show guest. There are no recurrent payments, only a one-time $5 listing fee. Your listing will stay up until you decide to cancel. Previous guests of The Douglas Coleman Show are welcome to submit their guest listing free of charge. Go to radiohostsandguests.com. That's radiohostsandguests.com.
Hi, this is John Morgan, production supervisor for DJC Productions. You're listening to The Douglas Coleman Show.
Okay, please welcome to the Douglas Coleman Show, Papa Joe Bradford. Hello, Papa Joe. How are you?
Hello, Douglas. I'm glad to be on the show, man.
Well, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. I just pulled up your bio, and it is enormous, which leads me to believe that you've done a lot of things in your life, yeah? I'm not sure where to start.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's see. Why don't we start at the beginning? Why don't you just tell us a little about yourself? I know you've got a foundation called Elijah's Heart. Is that correct?
It is. And Douglas, my life is kind of like a used car. It's not the age, it's the mileage that's on it, man. So, yeah, been involved with a lot of good things. Yeah.
Well, okay. Just give us a little backstory.
My wife and I founded a nonprofit close to 2 decades ago called Elijah's Heart. And with that nonprofit, we have the largest door-to-door hunger relief program in Nashville, Tennessee. And it's called the Walk of Love. And we serve people in other areas also. And we have a music production program we've been doing for years, probably actually for 3 decades, believe it or not. I've been training kids in music and a literacy program. And so that's, let's just say what we do. Now, how we came to that point, that's a whole different story. And they did a movie about me called Unconditional. This very good-looking guy in Hollywood named Michael Ealy played my part, Douglas. The movie is made to 121 countries, and he looks exactly not like me, my friend. But he's a very good actor.
Well, I think you would have been happier if they picked a good-looking guy than some real ugly guy to play you, right?
Yeah, I hope so, anyway.
Okay, when did the movie come out?
Well, the movie came out at the very end of 2012, and then it hit DVD, of course, the next year, and it just keeps going. People use my movie to capture people's hearts, to serve children and people in need. So it just keeps going, man. We can't stop it at this point. So yeah, it's a good thing.
Well, I'll have to check it out. I'll put it on my list of watch movies. It sounds pretty good. So it's basically your life story?
Yes, it is. And just so you know and everybody else knows, at papajoe.org, PAPAJOE.org, there is a link to my movie on the home page where you can see the movie free, where you don't have to go on the app like a Walmart app, which is on, but you can see it free that way. And yes, it is basically based on my life story. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I'll definitely check it out. I want to bring up something that I see on your bio that is very sad. It says that 1 in 4 households don't have enough to eat in this country.
Yes, and I don't know, it might be even higher now when you talk about what's happening with COVID.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're in that world in a big way. And food insecurity is great in our country. A lot of people don't know it. And that means a family doesn't have, let's just say, enough food for 2 or 3 meals a day, even 2 meals a day. By the time the end of the month comes, let me put it that way, whether they own support from human services like food stamps or not, that's just kind of the way it's happening in our country, especially with this pandemic, Douglas.
Well, I know that for a single person, and it varies from state to state. I know here in Nevada, it's around $230 a month that a single person would get for food assistance, which isn't a lot. That's not a lot. You can easily spend that at one time at the supermarket. So I know it's tough. So your organization is like a food bank, or how does it work?
Well, we're a small part of what we do, Douglas, is a food bank. But what the glory behind what we do is called the Walk of Love. And we actually have a special website just for this hunger relief program, walkofloveclub.com. And the Walk of Love is where we get mass amounts of food, and a lot of it is non-perishable. And we take that food to entire communities. I'm talking about, if you go in the inner city, for example, you've got these inner city communities anywhere from 200, to 500 families. And 99% of the families is on the free lunch program in school. So that kind of gives you an idea of the poverty rate. And so the Walk of Love is designed to get resources, donations, and get volunteers together. And we literally walk door to door and take food to supplement, that lack, that bridge, where they can have enough for the month. Mm-hmm.
Oh, so you're talking about truckloads of foods for an entire community.
Oh gosh, yes. We feed entire communities, my friend. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's great. I think that's fantastic. So it says that this is actually a ministry. Is it a ministry, or is it, I'm trying to figure out, is it an organization, a charity? It's all of the above. Yeah?
We are a charity. We are a 501c3 nonprofit charity. And, and spiritually speaking, obviously we are a ministry. But we're not a, quote, church. We are a charity listed under the state and the government so that people can, donate and get a, tax-free, make tax-free donations. But also I can purchase items in bulk, without having to pay taxes on it to be able to get much more food. For $17,000, for example, Douglas, I can get over $50,000 worth of food from from what we do. So I'm able to feed a lot of people through this 501c3 organization.
Oh, I think that's fantastic. And have you seen this gone up in terms of people in need because of COVID? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it has. It was already great. I mean, let's just say 15 years ago, my wife and I visited this single mom's house. And there's a lot of single mothers and single grandmothers out there. The divorce rate in our country is high. So you got a lot of single parents out there. We visited a single mom's household. She had 6 children. We went to the refrigerator. There was a half of a store-bought pizza in there. And that's all was in the refrigerator. Oh. Then I went to the restroom, Douglas. There was no toilet paper. There was a Yellow Pages phone book with a third of the pages torn out, and that's what they were using as toilet paper. So that kind of gives you an idea of the degree of poverty that's kind of in our own backyard that people don't know about. And so that's how we started this whole thing, man.
Are these primarily rural areas, or is it inner city, or both, or what?
We serve mostly inner city, but we also serve rural. When you get out in the country areas, and in many cases, Douglas, it's a worse situation because they don't have the nonprofits that whose reach goes out that far. And so, we try to get out in the rural areas as much as possible. But some states have a lot of rural space. And so, they really need help. But most of our focus has been on the inner city, because by bringing resources like food, we don't just bring food, personal care things, because food stamps can't buy toilet paper and, deodorant. So we supply that type of stuff. And so, we want to make sure that the families have basic necessities. So that's kind of what our mission is with our hunger relief program.
Yeah, you can't buy clothes with food assistance either, which people need.
Oh, yes. We get a lot of clothes. A lot of clothes away. Mm-hmm. And we try to get new clothes, particularly when I don't know if COVID can be spread in used clothes or not. I'm not a scientist.
I'm not sure.
But we do give new clothes. Yeah, we treat the children the same way that I treat my own children. I have to put it that way, Douglas.
I have
a lot. My wife, we have 8 children and 9 grandchildren. So I have a lot of experience.
So you got a big family. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. To answer your question, I don't know about COVID. The Omicron variant seems to be so contagious. I think you just look at somebody who's got it and you can get it.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Man.
But I hope this is the end of it. I really hope that this is the one.
We're all praying for that. We're all praying for that, man.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about something else I see on your bio here. It says Papa Joe's 7 Doors of Love. Tell us a little about that.
Yeah, I for years, at least since the turn of the century, I've been I just love I love to read the Bible. It's, it's not a religious thing. It's just a love thing. And because we're in areas that are very, can be violent at times, places where they have a lot of drug dealing and gangs and so forth, it was just pressed on my heart. And it's not just there. It could just be even at work, why do we have contention? Why do we fight? Well, I really believe that researching and writing this right here, how do we love? How should we love one another? Because I think that should be the most important thing. And so just through my research, I found 7, let's just say, attributes of love. That's kind of a comprehensive look of love. And with these attributes of love, there's a contrasting thing of evil, like, for example, humility versus pride. And so what is humility? What is pride? And how do you practice humility? So that's the type of way I wrote the book. You've probably heard of the game show Let's Make a Deal, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Well, I grew up. That was one of my favorite game shows when I watched TV as a child. And with that show, behind door number 1, it might conceal a new car, or behind door number 2 might be a goat, with a saddle on it.
Yes,
how they go. But see, Douglas, you had to guess which was the right door. Well, I don't believe that how we treat one another in love should be a guessing game. And so the reason why I wrote the book is that I wanted to show, okay, this is love, and over here, this is not love. But not just that, but to get into a practice of it so that it becomes your nature. And so that's the premise behind the entire book.
And I'm looking at all of them here. You've got humility, purity, faith, unity, liberty, trust in God, and life. And I think right now in the United States, and to some degree in the whole world, we're kind of lacking in all of those categories.
Oh, my God, yes.
Well, where do you start? I mean, how do you start? You start one person at a time?
Well, yeah, it starts in the household, Douglas. It starts in the family. If I can't love my wife, if I can't love my children right, how am I going to love someone outside of my household? And so, everywhere I go, and I've traveled the nation, and I still travel, I try to make it a point that, look, we're going to start this right at home so that you become an example of what your family is when you go outside the door. And so, so that's where it starts, really right there in the home. And then it can go to groups. It can go on your job. I wrote the book with a workbook also, so it can be a group study. Not just, like I said, it's not just a study. There's a practical thing behind this where you, in accountability, you practice these love traits. And so that's what makes the book very, very powerful, because people get to practice together and learn how to love each other.
The book is, what is the name of the book? I'm sorry.
It's called Love or War, ? Okay?
Oh, okay.
Choose love. Love or war, choose love.
Okay, and when did you write this book?
Well, I wrote it this past year, and it was initially released in just in October. And it's been going great. I've had a bunch of interviews, and it's still going. People ask me to come, and I've spoken on this, and I've been invited to come in person in places where it's safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it came out in October, and it's one of those types of books that's never ending, because love is never ending. So I'll be teaching and speaking on this, I'm sure the rest of my life, my friend.
Well, I think love is probably one of the most rewarding things that people can experience, but it's also can be some of the most difficult things to find.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't know the difference in love and what's not love. And that's why I try to teach that, because I've made a bunch of mistakes in my life, and I'm learning more and more, because we learn every day. Learning more and more. Well, wait a minute. The way I treated, I'm just use my wife as an example. The way I treated her, I wasn't renouncing, selfish ideas when I did this. And so now I'm seeing, when I read what's written in the book, I see, wait a minute, I've been focused more on myself than serving others. And so, I get a wake-up call. It's like a love makeover. That's what this book is, Douglas.
That's a love makeover. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Well, all right, Papa Joe, we got to wrap this up. Unfortunately, we are out of time. Do you have a website? Okay. Do you want to give out your website again?
Yes, it's papajoe.org, papajoe.org. And you can find out everything you want to about the book, the movie, and some other interviews I've had. I was recently on Good Morning America also. So, right there at that website, papajoe.org.
All right, great. Well, thanks so much for coming on and spreading your message. I think it's a great one. Keep up the good work. We need more people like you on this planet, definitely. And best of luck with your book and everything you're doing.
Well, thank you, Douglas. Thank you for giving us a platform to share things like this. God bless you.